Welcome to Cambium Academy, Course 2. The same AI gives your friend brilliant answers and you mediocre ones. The difference is technique, not talent. Module 1. Before we fix your prompts, I want to fix a belief. Most people think there is a secret vocabulary, magic words that unlock the good answers. That was half true in 2023. It is not true now. What died is the trick vocabulary. What survived is structure, what you ask for, what background you give, and what shape you want back. Think less secret password, more good briefing. But there is one switch most people have never touched, and it changes everything. Here is a mental model that will carry you through this whole course. The AI is a brilliant intern. It has read almost everything humanity ever published, and it is fast, tireless, and eager. But it is the intern's first day. It does not know who you are, who the work is for, or what good looks like to you. So when an answer disappoints you, ask yourself the manager's question: did I brief this intern well, or did I just bark a topic at them? Almost everything in the next hour is learning to brief well. Now the switch. Every major chatbot in 2026 has two speeds. There is an instant mode, which answers in a second or two and is perfect for everyday questions. And there is a thinking mode, where the model works through the problem privately before it answers, which can take from seconds to minutes. In ChatGPT, you will see instant and thinking in the model picker. Claude now decides for itself how hard to think, and Gemini gives you thinking levels you can raise. The labels move around from month to month, so do not memorize buttons. Memorize the idea, two speeds, and you are allowed to choose. So when do you flip it? Stay on instant for the everyday stuff. Switch to thinking for anything where being right matters more than being fast. Here is my rule of thumb. If you would give a human colleague 10 quiet minutes to work on it, give the AI the thinking mode. Module 2. The heart of the course. The three parts of a request that works: the task, the context, and the format. You already know how to do all three, because it is exactly how you would brief a person. Part 1. The task. The single most common mistake is typing a topic, like you are still using a search engine. Give it a job, not a topic, a verb, a deliverable, an audience, and the limits. Part 2. Context. It is the intern's first day. It cannot know your dad is a retired teacher with a dry sense of humor unless you say so. Answer the questions a thoughtful person would ask. Who is this for? What is the situation? What does good look like here? Then, at the end of this module, I need to correct a famous piece of advice, including a piece of it that I gave you myself last week. Part 3. Format. If you do not say what the answer should look like, the model picks for you, and its default is that bullet-heavy, slightly corporate voice you can smell from across the room. So say it. 3 plain sentences, no bullet points. A table with 1 row per option. Under 150 words, in the tone of a friendly text. Format is the cheapest instruction you can give. 1 short phrase at the end of your ask, and the answer arrives already shaped like the thing you actually needed. Here is the whole recipe on one slide, and yes, this one is worth a screenshot. Task: what you want made. Context: what it cannot guess. Format: what the results should look like. Read the example and notice it is not clever. There is no secret phrase in it anywhere. It is just a complete briefing, the kind you would give a smart intern on their first morning. That is the entire modern art of prompting. Say what you want, say what it needs to know, say what it should look like. Everything else in this course builds on this slide. Now the correction, and this one surprised nearly everyone, including me. The most repeated prompting tip on the internet is to start with a persona. You are a world-class expert, act as a veteran analyst. In 2026, researchers finally tested this properly, and here is what they found. On tasks about facts, math, and precise recall, expert personas made accuracy slightly worse, not better. In one study, a broad knowledge test dropped from about 72% to about 68% the moment a persona was added. The best explanation: you switched the model into sound like an expert mode, and sounding expert competes with being accurate. Last week I told you the 4 moves included giving the AI a role. I owe you the 2026 update. The role move is real, but it is for voice, not for facts. Let me show you when it still shines. So here is the honest two-sided rule, because personas are not useless, they are mismarketed. When the job is about how something is said, a role works beautifully. But when the job is a fact or a number, drop the costume and that honesty instead. Facts want plain questions. Style wants personas. That distinction alone puts you ahead of most of the internet. Module 3, a short one with a big payoff. You now know how to describe what you want. But there is something even stronger than describing. Show it. You have seen the AI voice, dive in, game changer. I hope this email finds you well. When you do not show the model what you want, it writes the average of everything it has ever read, and the average of the internet is exactly that beige, overenthusiastic voice. Adjectives help a little. But you and I might mean completely different things by casual. A sample is unambiguous. So here is the move. Before you ask for the real thing, paste a short sample of the tone you want. Here is an email I wrote that sounds like me. Now write the new announcement in the same voice. That is it. One good sample usually transforms the output. The model imitates the pattern of whatever you show it, formatting included. By the way, researchers call this few-shot prompting. You can forget that name in 10 seconds, as long as you keep the habit, show before you ask. The same trick works for structure. If you want a table, name the columns. And when the shape is unusual, sketch one line of it. That single sketched line does more than a paragraph of description, because the model completes patterns for a living, and you just handed it the pattern. Module 4. Everything so far happens before you press enter. This module is about steering, small habits that change what comes back, and what you do the moment it arrives. None of them takes more than one sentence to use. All of them will still work years from now, whatever the models are called by then. Habit 2, and if you only keep one line from this entire course, make it this one. These models are trained to be helpful, and to their training, an empty answer feels like a failure. So when they hit a gap, the pull is to fill it fluently, which is exactly how you get a confident wrong answer. You can push back with a single sentence. If you're not fully sure, say so, and tell me what you'd check. That is the whole habit. It gives the model explicit permission to be uncertain, and in practice it turns silent guesses into visible ones. You get I believe it's X but verify the current figure instead of a smooth wrong number. I use it on anything involving names, dates, prices, laws, or medicine. Say it with me once. If you're not fully sure, say so, and tell me what you'd check. Habit 3 is about the second most famous magic phrase, think step by step. In 2023, it genuinely boosted accuracy. Then models changed. Researchers at Wharton tested it properly and found that on thinking models, the ones that already reason privately before answering, the phrase adds 20 to 80% more weighting for little or no accuracy gain. You are telling someone who is already deep in thought to please think. On instant models, it still helps modestly with genuinely multi-step problems, but it also makes answers more variable, so it can even break questions the model would have gotten right. Here is the rule that survives. Ask for steps when the task naturally has steps, a plan, a checklist, a comparison. And if the problem is truly hard, do not chant at the instant model. Flip the switch from module 1 and use the thinking mode. That is what it is for. The first answer is a first draft, and unlike a human intern, this one revises instantly and never gets tired of your notes. My 3 favorite follow-ups. What's weak about this? Fix it. Give me 3 versions, safe, bold, and expected. And my favorite, flipped around, ask me 3 questions before you answer. One more pull of the lever is not failure. It is a technique. Module 5. The biggest quality jump available to you is not a better sentence. It is better material. When you upload a file to a chatbot, you are not teaching the AI. What you are doing is handing the intern a folder, an open book reference it can read for this conversation. The model quotes your actual material instead of guessing. One separate note while we are here. Whether your chats may be used to improve models is a privacy setting, not an upload side effect, and every major app now lets you turn it off. Worth checking once in settings. Last idea in this module, and it is one many daily users have never checked. In 2026, the big chatbots remember things about you across separate chats, your job, your preferences, your ongoing projects. Used well, it is lovely, less re-explaining. But you should know 3 things. First, you can read everything it has stored. In ChatGPT under Settings, Personalization, Memory. In Claude under Settings, Memory. In Gemini on the Saved Info page. Second, you can edit or delete any of it, and memories do go stale, so glance at the list occasionally, the way you would clean out a junk drawer. And third, every app now has a temporary or incognito chat mode that leaves no memory behind for the conversations you want to stay in the room. The AI keeping notes on you is fine. Not knowing it keeps notes is not. All 3 big apps now give you a room where your material lives, so you stop re-uploading and re-explaining. In Claude they are called projects, files plus standing instructions, shared by every chat inside. ChatGPT has projects too, plus custom GPTs, which are more like a packaged assistant you can hand to other people. And Gemini has gems, which can link to Google Drive files and stay current when the file changes. Set one up this week. Put in the 3 documents you reference constantly and 1 paragraph of standing instructions. It takes 10 minutes, and it upgrades every single future chat. In 2026, the big chatbots remember things about you across separate chats. You should know 3 things. First, you can read everything it has stored. In ChatGPT under Settings, Personalization, Memory. In Claude under Settings, Memory. In Gemini on the Saved Info page. Second, you can edit or delete any of it, and memories do go stale, so glance at the list occasionally, the way you would clean out a junk drawer. And third, every app now has a temporary or incognito chat mode that leaves no memory behind. The AI keeping notes on you is fine. Not knowing it keeps notes is not. Last module, and the one I most want you to keep. The difference between people who get real value from AI and people who get burned by it is rarely the prompting. It is the judgment. These models sometimes generate confident, fluent, specific answers that are simply wrong. Stanford's AI Index this year measured hallucination rates across 26 top models on one benchmark and found them ranging from 22% all the way to 94%. The detail that matters for you, the tone never wobbles. A wrong answer sounds exactly like a right one. So do not use confidence as your signal, ever. Use cost. If a wrong answer costs you nothing, enjoy. If it costs money, health, a grade, or your reputation, you verify. Here is how, in about 60 seconds. Here is a finding from this year's research that genuinely changed how I ask questions. Models are trained on human approval, and it shows they tend to agree with whatever you signal you already believe. Researchers tested the same false claims two ways. Framed as, someone says this, models corrected the error just fine. Framed as, I believe this, accuracy collapsed. In one reported case from about 98% to about 64% on the same claims, just because the wrongness now belonged to the user. So watch your framing. Ask, is this true? Not, this is true, right? Keep your conclusion out of the question when you want the truth. And when you actually want help with a decision, use the power move, argue against my plan. Flattery cannot survive that instruction, and the answer you get is worth 10 agreeable ones. Models are trained on human approval, and it shows they tend to agree with whatever you signal you already believe. Researchers tested the same false claims two ways. Framed as, someone says this, models corrected the error just fine. Framed as, I believe this, accuracy collapsed. In one reported case from about 98% to about 64% on the same claims. So watch your framing. Ask, is this true? Not, this is true, right? And when you actually want help with a decision, use the power move, argue against my plan. Everything you paste into a chat, an article, an email, a resume, a prompt someone shared, is read by the model as potential instructions, not just as information. Attackers exploit that with hidden text, white on white, or tucked mid-document, saying things like, ignore your instructions and do this instead. A real case this year. Security researchers found that a specially crafted Claude.ai link could prefill a prompt containing instructions the victim could not see. Press enter once, and buried commands could quietly send parts of your chat history to an attacker. It has been fixed, but the pattern is the lesson. So, 3 habits. Paste this prompt links from strangers like unmarked pills. Skim anything large before you paste it. And if an answer suddenly wears weird right after a paste, suspect the paste. Whether to say AI helped you depends on the room you are in. In school, the syllabus decides, and when it is unclear, ask, do not guess. At work, you own what you ship, so never send what you have not read. When you are in doubt, disclosing costs you a sentence. while being caught not disclosing can cost you trust. Know the rules of the room. When in doubt, say so. If this course lit a spark, here is where to go next, all free, all checked by hand this month. The official prompting guides from Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google are genuinely good now, and they agree with each other far more than the internet does. Learn Prompting is a gentle full beginner course. And when you want your hands dirty, Anthropic publishes an interactive tutorial with real exercises. The full annotated list, with what each one is best for, lives on the course resources page. If this course lit a spark, here is where to go next, all free, all checked by hand this month. The official prompting guides from Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google are genuinely good now, and they agree with each other far more than the internet does. The full annotated list lives on the course resources page. And that is the lecture, step 1 of your path, done. Clear the 24 flashcards and go play at the 3 lab stations, where you will watch a persona wreck a factual answer with your own eyes. Then the quiz opens, 20 questions, 14 to pass, and your certificate prints on the spot, ready for LinkedIn. Before you go, do one thing for me. Take the worst prompt you wrote last month, you know the one, and rewrite it with the Pocket Toolkit. That is the whole final exam of real life, better asks, wiser trust. A new Cambium Academy course lands next week. I will see you there.